Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year, Wobs.
Yeah. Nice of you to make it, kid.
Yeah, we're getting to that in a minute. I've had a right mission getting here. New Year has not started well. Wobs, before we get into that, Christmas, how was it for you? No doubt. Right. How was the Christmas party? I couldn't make that.
It's always a biggie, kid. It's always a busy. We start about 11:30 in the morning, and it's usually a 4 a.m. finish. It's a session. You
did text me saying you were a bit delicate. And that was even before that.
I know, it's a good do. It's a good do. We like our Christmas do. It's fun. But now, it's once a year now. We're getting too old. It's
never too old, Wobs. We're gonna have a cracking year. We're gonna be doing a lot of excessive drinking and podcasting.
There's gonna be some really cool stuff coming up. I'm really excited. Yeah. I'm excited for today's podcast. Believe me, I'm excited for today. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, me too. Got a real good guest that we're just about to introduce. Again, thanks everybody for the support so far. We did start this thing really for me and Wobs. We kind of threw it out there, not at the best time for us.
Just a fucking ego trip, if I'm honest.
Okay, let's go with that. That sounds good enough. But we did say, look, let's start it off and really go for it in 2024. So now 24 has started.
We're here.
We got some good plans, as we said. If you're liking what you're seeing on our YouTube channel, please subscribe.
It really makes a difference.
It does.
It really makes
because
a
then it
difference.
pops up on you, and tells you when we're live and all that kind of stuff. Also, of course, we're on Facebook at Torq Moto, Instagram, YouTube, Torq Moto. And if you do need to email us, I can never remember this off so it's down here in front of me, info@torqmoto@gmail.com. Any idea on guests, anything like that, future guests, let us know. Some of the people that have commented on guests that we should get on are already on our list.
Yes. We've got a few lined up, and I've got a little California trip planned, so maybe we can line a few more up when I'm over there.
Yeah.
I've got some business to take care of.
I can't make that, which I'm gutted about because we were going to go over there and do something, but we will get to America at some point. Talking of which, Wobs.
Yeah.
Before we get to talking about America, though, another big shout out to these guys. I know people listening can't see this. What I'm
Talon Engineering, quality people. Yeah, we use the stuff a lot. They've looked after us from day one, so we can't say enough about them. We're going to be doing a podcast from their factory later in the summer, 50th anniversary, I believe.
It is.
So we're going to go down and drink some beers with them. We might have to get a hotel that night, kid.
Yeah, that's all right. We can do that. We can squeeze that out of expenses. Obviously, as more people come on board with this, the bigger and better it's going to get. Right. Without further ado, that's enough idle chit chat. I want more detail on the Christmas party after the podcast.
Yeah.
Let's get to our guest. A British boy, done good.
Pride of Britain. Pride of Britain he is, bless him. He's a national treasure.
I'm laughing because I can see him on the screen and you can't see him yet. From down there in Somerset, now residing in somewhere in California.
Well, it's not Temecula. He's got Leroy's old house.
Oh, there you
He
go.
lives just in Corona, just off the 15 there.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we introduce to the podcast, got to Torq Moto with Olly Stone. Ollie, how are you? And explain where you are and now what you are doing. Let's get straight into it.
Morning or afternoon, gentlemen. I am actually, Corona, California. I bought Leroy's old place a few years ago. I'm just sat in my garage, which was his shop. You see the old Pro Circuit plates above me and stuff back in the days when I used to work there. Now I'm just at home. When I'm done here, I'm going to go to the test track, which is just across the street, do some testing and see where we end up.
So Ollie is the crew chief for the Troy Lee GASGAS Red Bull. What's the official name? Ollie, give us a...
Red Bull Troy Lee Designs Factory GASGAS Races.
There you go.
And what's your official title now, Mr. Big Chief?
Crew chief. So I'm the crew chief for the team.
Crew chief, but you were a busy crew chief. Let's just leave it at that.
Very busy crew chief.
But Ollie's doing a cracking job because Ollie was a mechanic. He was a rider in the UK. He was a mechanic on some pretty good teams. He'll fill us in a few seconds, and then he wanted to go to the States, so he got a job at Pro Circuit, and then got offered to be Barcia's mechanic at Troy Lee GASGAS, and now he's crew chief. Soon to be management, I'm sure.
Here's something then, Ollie. Wobs has just dropped the one there for me. I didn't even know. Rider? See, I've always just spoke to you about being a mechanic. I've never spoke to you in detail about your riding career. Was it much of a riding career before you got into turning the Spanish?
Not much of a riding career. I think every mechanic rode. There's not one mechanic in the industry in the past that didn't ride dirt bikes as a kid or had the fuel in their blood, if that makes sense. So for me, I raced some AMCA, some schoolboy stuff as a kid, some Remedies bar and some British, the Thumpercross stuff, which was back in the 2000s. So I did the MR Thumpercross too. And that's what I did. And it was like, you get old and you need to have a job, and their bikes are expensive. Back then they were anyway. I think they're twice as much now.
Yes.
But it was like my passion was more working on the bikes than riding the bikes. And then it just spiraled out there. You build a few engines for a couple of mates, and then word spreads around. And then I did an apprenticeship on motorcycles. And then it was just got paired with a rider in the Remedies bar, and it was onwards and upwards from there.
So who was your first guy? Who did you break your virginity with? Who was your first man? That sounds bad, doesn't it?
What's that?
That's all right. Carry on.
Okay. No, so that was about it. And then, 20 years later, and I'm sat here in California.
So Wobs asked there who was the first person you started actually like working for. But before you answer that, before you do answer that, so if you raced, well, hold 1 second, if you raced down Remedies Bar and down the southwest, how old are you, Ollie? Because I'd like to know the age gap, because that's my neck of the woods. So you might have been racing.
I'm actually 39 currently, so
did you race?
Almost hit the old.
Did you race down there when I was racing, or had I retired by then? Because
no,
I don't remember you as a little kid.
You had retired, because I remember growing up reading your articles in the back of the DBR magazine and stuff like that. And you had finished GPs, I think, by the time I started racing.
Right. Yeah.
So our paths never crossed.
It's okay, because that's good then. So I didn't actually not pay any attention to you.
No,
you just wasn't there when I was racing. Good. No, I feel a lot better about that now. Yeah.
But I think also, like, remembering back, you had the animal racing team when I was still racing, and then I think I stopped racing around that time, and I think you had that team with like Brian McKenzie and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So who was because we had a little bit of lag there. Who was the first person you actually started working for then?
So it was Dave Yelland, actually, who won the Remedies Bar Championship for a couple of years. So like, I would still race a bit and then work on his bikes, and then I just started working on his bikes in my garage after work, and I'd just go to the races at the weekend just to help him, pretty much.
Cool.
Dave was fast, but quite loose. He had quite a few wrecks, if I remember. And that's actually what finished his career, wasn't it? I think just too many injuries, something like that. So he was really fast though for a while there.
No, he was, and like in the Southwest, he was really fast, and he did the British Championship that year. So that was a good learning curve for me to go to all the British races and things and see how everyone else did it. But it's like those, sometimes back in the day, you get some British guys who were fast as hell in the British Championship, and then they go to the GPs and not quite.
Oh, it's still the same way now, kid. Don't worry. Nothing's changed.
Nothing's really changed, huh?
There seems to be guys who can perform at Britain, but they don't seem to handle the world stage very well. I don't know why, because they got the speed. I don't really.
How many times already in the podcast that we've done already have we had that conversation?
The guys we got are blisteringly fast. But let's just hope that Josh Gilbert puts it to him this year. He's got a Grand Prix ride, and he's more than capable. We know that. So let's just hope he can put it to him. I'd love to see it.
Southwest rider, see Ollie?
Yeah, you go.
Hey.
Andy Gilbert's kid. Do you remember Andy? So what teams you on? I remember you on MJ Church. I remember you on CCM. Yeah,
so then I started out, I went to Motovision, which was the MVRD team.
Motovision, given the opportunities.
Yeah. But did that. I mean, it was just opportunity to travel the world and be a mechanic, if that makes sense. That was like something I've always wanted to do. So it was like, we jumped at the opportunity, and like just in all the first year, like we were just rookies and just learning the ropes, if that makes sense, and going the races and figuring it out. But did that, and then went to CCM for Tom Church, and then I ended up in Belgium working with Jackie Martins, and I worked for Joe Roulats for a year, and then Jake Nichols came to the team, so I worked for Jake. And then, I think I did 9 years in Europe before I ended up coming here.
And how did you end up getting your job? I mean, it's a big step from being a mechanic in Europe to being a mechanic in the States. And I'm sure a lot of people have tried to do that. It ain't that easy to do, is it? It sounds easy, but it really isn't.
No, it's not easy. I think you get a lucky break, or you're just relentless enough that you annoy someone that they just give in. But I think for me, everyone wants to be a mechanic in America. Everyone does. Everyone in the past wanted to. I mean, you were successful enough to do it yourself too. And it's a different world.
It is a different deal.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So I would always email guys like J-Bone, who was at JGR, or like I'd find any team manager or crew chief's Facebook and send them a message or things like that. So I'd always send Mitch a resume every year through the Pro Circuit email, wondering if it ever got there or anything like that. But for me, it was a couple of mutual friends who knew that Pro Circuit needed a couple mechanics, so that obviously doubles your chances. And then they came to the donations at Lommel, and then Dave Shaler knows Mitch pretty good as yourself, and it just helped. A couple good friends recommended me to him. Spoke to the crew chief, which was Zach White at the time. Kind of send a resume, and then the rest was history, pretty much.
Persistence beats resistance, Ollie.
It does every time. It does. But then, it's a big deal to move there and find somewhere to live and, just not give up, but walk away from your family or anything else you got going on. It's a hell of a commitment.
No, I mean, it was kind of like a couple of years previous, I left England and moved to Belgium. And then 2 years later, I'm leaving Belgium and moving to America. But doors open and you got to walk through them, and then you never know what's on the other side,
That's true. Going back a couple of steps, Ollie, when did you say you always wanted to be a top level mechanic, but when did the penny drop from that? Obviously, I guess you started a riding career with aspirations of being a pro. I guess you worked out at some point that wasn't going to happen. So when did you really set your goals on okay, you just said you wanted to be in America. So when did the penny drop with that?
I mean, I was at the place when I had quite a good job in Belgium, and I was quite content. I think I was 28 at the time. And I was like, I'll keep pushing till I'm 30 to try and go to America. And if it doesn't work, I need to make something long-term in Europe. And pretty much I was settling and I was happy and things like that. This opportunity arose. So it kind of was unexpected, if that makes sense, because previous years you always try and talk to people. It's like networking in Europe too. You want to go to a factory team in Europe and you don't know, you talk to the people and you pass on a CV and stuff like that, and then you just hope. And then if there's only one job going in one team and there's all these mechanics that want it, you kind of have to be lucky, but also sometimes put all your eggs in one basket,
Yeah.
What did you do how did it happen? Was it a phone call from Mitch? Was it an email? Did you get slashed that night? Absolutely hammered? I know I would have done.
No, so I spoke to them at the donations, and then it was maybe the Thursday after the donations or something like that. And then I was just sat in my apartment in Belgium, and then my phone was ringing, and it said, it was +1, and it said Corona, California. And I'm kind of in awe because I'm I have no mates in Corona, California. I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone in Corona, California. So I was interesting. Kind of hoping what it is and wishing. Then I answered the phone and obviously I picked the phone up, said hello, and then the guy on the other side said Olly Stone, and I was like, yeah, and he goes, it's Mitch Pate. But I knew it was Mitch because everyone's heard him before, and I spoke to him before and stuff. So him to say that on the other end of the phone.
God, I hate it when he calls me. You see the number on the phone, you're what's going on?
Oliver Stone. So very formal.
Yeah.
What my CV would say, and then he went on to say that my name came up, and he went back and he was like, yeah, I have six resumes from you from the past 6 years. So he actually always got them and kept them all too. So that was kind of cool.
Good job you didn't lie then. You didn't. Good job you stuck to it.
Yeah.
He's a shrewd boy. He'd have clocked you on that one. But how long were you there for, Ollie? You were there for quite a long time, weren't you? You were pro circuit for many years.
9 years. So I did 9 years at PC. So I did the full.
You did your time there, kid. You paid.
Yeah. So I've seen a lot and heard a lot and done a lot there, but I wouldn't have had it any other way,
It is a bit of a where to, the pro circuit workshops in California, come 5 o'clock, all the industry guys start showing up, all sitting around drinking beer. If you want to get on, that's where you need to be.
Yeah, it's crazy how a 24-pack of Coors Light gets you a long way in there.
It does. It does.
Were you when you did all the the move and you went over there, first day at the job, first week, were you nervous at all at any point? Let's be honest, it's a big deal, and Mitch's reputation, as Wobs has said, very methodical, very thorough. Did you feel pressured at all? I mean, a mechanic is always going to feel pressured, right? But I mean, that's a big gig.
Pressure from within to succeed, I think. So like, I think I got there a couple of days later and I walked in his office and he was busting my balls a bit. I was like, hey, I'm here. And he was like, who? I don't know who you are. So anyway.
You didn't send a picture on your CV then?
So I was like, so he broke the ice like that. And I was pretty much like, hey, give me 2 weeks. If I'm not what you want, let me know and I'll go home. And he was like, no problem. And I think it was like lunchtime because he never really gets to the shop till about 10:30, 11. He was like, all right, well, there you go. Get to work. So it was like straight in the deep end. So he's quite trustworthy. So like a lot of the secrets that he had in the engine, like the first job I had, I was shadowing Paul Parabinos, who was Dino's mechanic the year previous, who won a championship. So I was shadowing him putting an engine together. So the rumors that you hear about the Pro Circuit engines, I saw on the first day when I was kind of like on the trial.
That is a big deal, isn't it? So where did it go from there then? What was your first sort of job title within the corporation?
So you just kind of got to learn the ropes, and it was a different world, really. It's nothing like being a mechanic in the MXGP. It's a lot faster pace, ride a lot more during the week. Our team had 5 riders at the time, so I was used to a team of like 3 maximum, or most teams in Europe had 2. So there was just engines going everywhere, bikes going together, pieces being shipped. It was just like, it's like the week before the first MXGP every week.
Yeah, it is chaos over there. It is. There's so much stuff in there.
Yeah, and then just like, he just signed Justin Hill, who was a rookie, so he put me with Justin so we could kind of both learn together.
At that point then, you're learning, did you ever think you'd bitten off a bit more than you can chew? You know, like, what I mean is you wanted to be there, but clearly the workload was more than what you'd ever, done.
I will say at this point, though, the level of mechanics in the States, the European guys are more all-rounders. Like, not many American guys can build motors. There's a lot of mechanics out there, they've got guys who do it.
Yeah.
They don't do your own suspension. They don't build their own wheels. They don't mount their own tyres, most of them.
No, and it's crazy once you get stuck in that what you see that, like the Honda guys, they get the wheels built. Now these teams have engine builders, and suspension builders. So you're piecing it together. But at Mitch's, all the mechanics build their own engines. Bones did the suspension, but you were testing, you were the practice mechanic, you were a race mechanic, engine builder, and all that stuff. So I could handle the workload, no problem. I worked at CCM for 2 years, and there was a lot of work that went into that program. So it was just the high pace of it. Like, you're at the track, you're riding Supercross, you come back, you got to pull your engine, you got to tear it apart, clean it. Zach wants together for the next day or something like that. So the workload was fine. It was the learning. It was the way, the attention to detail. It was like, okay, you build your engine like this, and you time your cams like this, and this is what we measure, and this is what we inspect. Like, it's insane, the detail that goes into those engines, and even the chassis stuff, and like the development. And Bones will have you out there testing until the sun goes down. Even Supercross. I remember my first year when Davalos and Rattray were on the team. I was doing East Coast, they were racing West Coast, and I ended up going to the track for both them boys. And Rattray yelled at Bones because the sun was so low, he couldn't see the whoops anymore. And he was like, Bones, what the hell? We cannot test anymore. We cannot see the whoops. It's dangerous. And Bones wasn't having it, If he had his way, he'd put lights up at the test track. And go
no, it is.
At least you've got this. You can see the sun going down, which is more than what's going on over here right now.
But I mean, I've always been like party to being at Pro Circuit, and you work all day, and then Mitch comes in at 5 o'clock, fires the dyno up, and you're there till 10 o'clock at night. And it's every night. Yeah, it's insane.
That was more of the old days, but now, like, Mitch had Zach run the dyno all day, but still he had to run Pro Circuit Products and run the race team, so he was spread quite thin, or he was overseeing that. So when everyone left Pro Circuit Products and that closed up for the night, then he came in the race shop to catch up on what was going on. But like you said, the people from the industry would come around and drink beer, but we weren't. We were still working.
Yeah.
What,
I've got a story about drinking beer with Mitch.
That's funny.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Imagine that. Let's hear it. I've never heard you talk about a drinking story.
I was flying in, and then I got a phone call from my boss, Reed Nordine at Kawasaki, and he said, What time do you land? I told him. He said, are you going to Corona? Yeah. Can you take a bike from Matt Walker? Yeah, okay. So I got to Kawasaki in Irvine, put the bike in the truck. Tired now. I'm tired. But I've driven up into all the traffic, got to Pro Circuit, and I'm thinking, I'm going to sleep here the night. I'm in the camper. I'm going to sleep here. So Mitch is like, he's with Ali Seamar and Bones and Joey Maurer, who was Alby's mechanic. They're like, have a beer, kid. I'm like, all right. Well, I was sitting in this stand by Bones' desk. You know where I'm on about. Sitting drinking beer, and I'm dying on my arse. I'm tired. And I'm like 4 or 5 beers in. I haven't eaten for like 12 hours. I'm just on my arse. I really want to go to bed. And then I think I passed out almost.
What, on Bones' desk?
Yeah, and they're laughing. They were betting how long I'd last, how many beers I could get in me before I fell asleep. And it was about 9 o'clock at night. Bear in mind, I've been going about 28 hours at that point.
And what happened? Did they leave you there? Lock up?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, you had a lock-in at Pro Circuit?
Well, no, they woke me up.
That'd be something.
And then the dyno woke me up in the morning.
Oh, fair play.
But it's a funny old place. It's a different deal there. It is.
Ollie, you've just explained some of the differences. What do you reckon is the fundamental? Is there a fundamental difference between being a mechanic in Europe, without regards to the budgets that they have, compared with the American teams? Does the schedule affect you more? In Europe, you're traveling to all the different countries, whereas there you've got one language, all that kind of stuff. Any obvious differences?
They're the same but different. I mean, in Europe, we would sit in the back of the trailer and drive all the way across the country and hang out and get a day here or there, or build our bikes at the track, or you set up on a Thursday in Europe, tear down on a Monday or a Sunday night and things like that. It's definitely more drawn out. Here, what kills me the most is the travel, and it's crazy to say that. It's not the racing, it's the travel. Like, we tallied it up the other day. I think I did more than 100 flights last year. So it's airports up at 4 a.m. in an airport, fly across the country, but you don't ever go direct. Sometimes you have 3 flights to one of these motocross tracks. It's just the intensity of that. It's 31 weekends. So sometimes we go 17 weekends without a weekend off.
And I will say, these guys, when they fly back to California, they go into work next day.
Yes, exactly that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
At least I was a box van guy, so as long as I showed up at the track the next week, nobody cared. But these guys, now they're flying, they've got to be back in the workshop. And there's no time off. You land from a supercross, you leave at, like I say, 4 a.m., you get home at like 2 p.m. Sunday, 9 o'clock Monday, you're at work.
With the schedule...
That's 4 p.m. East Coast time, so that's 1 a.m. West Coast time.
Yeah,
so we come back to the West Coast and we get back at noon and you're done. And there's been some days when obviously Saturday's been a disaster and the boys want to test on Monday, so you end up going in for a few hours on Sunday too. So it gets pretty relentless, but if you don't love it, you wouldn't do it, if you know what I mean. It's not the main heart.
So with that tight schedule, have you ever been in a position where, you've actually missed work, flights have been designed? I mean, that must be a nightmare if something like that ever happens. Yeah,
100%. Flights have gotten worse since COVID. But I know last year the race Wobs came to in New York. I think I took 4 flights to get there because there was flights cancelled. I ended up in Connecticut when I shouldn't have been. I had to get a hotel. So it was 3 a.m. We got to the hotel, slept for 3 hours, got back to the airport, took another flight to get into JFK. And it is what it is. Sometimes it goes wrong. It's no different than driving to a race and getting a blowout. You know what I mean?
Stuck in customs somewhere.
Transmission drops out of your truck or something like that. So some things are unexpected and you can't control it. But
you still have problems with shipping, because you guys ship motors back to the workshop, work on them, and then ship them back to yourselves at the tracks. But I mean, if that gets delayed, you're screwed up waiting. It's intense. It can all go wrong for no fault of your own.
It is, and this year it kind of got worse. If there's a big storm that hits Texas, or everything ships through Texas, we've had suspension lost. No one knows where it is, and it's shown up 3 months later. So
it's here. Wobs has got it. He's never shy of finding a deal. Don't worry about that.
Going back to GP days, I've built engines in the back of the van in Tuchenthal and stuff like that. But here, nothing really gets assembled like that. On the semi, it gets overnighted, back to the shop, gets built, inspected, and then dynoed, and then shipped back out. So
it was always impressive to me the way that the motor that came out of the race bike would go in the truck for the spare, because they know full well if they have a drama, that will run and it'd be good. and the one that was in the truck last week then gets shipped back to be rebuilt, and it's just a constant
cycle,
rotation.
yeah.
So they've always got a backup that don't need running in, that's good to go, that's probably only done an hour's work from new. So that was always impressive to me. That's thinking smart, but it's all well and good till one don't show up.
That was a bit different to when you were working with Dave Yellen then, basically. What's the difference now then, Ollie, with your new job title then? What does that entail? Moving up, as Wob says, up the ranks?
It's a lot more, well, I don't wash bikes and change tires anymore. But
are you bossy? Are you that guy?
Do you order somebody else to do that?
I tell you, I don't miss that. But this week, the boys were putting their race bike together last weekend, and I was like, I kind of miss the race bike assembly, when you wire tie everything and then machine some bolt heads down and drill some stuff out, that's the cool attention to detail that gets you put in race teams, and it's what makes you tick. But I kind of miss that. The boys were putting it together last week, and I was like, I don't miss the day-to-day grind of being a mechanic, but I miss putting a race bike together.
And do you still get the same buzz when that guy wins? Because obviously a mechanic gets the buzz, but do you get the same buzz?
I do, yeah, because now they're all my responsibility or all my problem, if that makes sense. But you get so invested, and you know this, Wob. You get so invested with your one guy, you don't care about the other guys on the team. You're you're laser focused. If there's 4 guys on the team and there's only one factory part left, you want that for yourself.
What did I say about that?
Yeah,
I said that last week. You do, because you have this us and them mentality, and it doesn't matter whether on the same team. There's no team. Fuck that. There's no team. It's you and your guy, and you'll do anything you can to make him win, help him win.
So there is an I in team then.
Fuck that. I was never a good team player.
It's ruthless. I've been there, right? So I've been there. So when I was a mechanic and we were winning a bunch of races and stuff, you're like, I need this for my guy. My guy's winning. I have to have this. And you hide shit and you grab shit and you're
no, you do.
You're a bit selfish when it comes to it.
You've got to be selfish, kid. It's not.
I've been at the PC when Mitch has gone through benches and he's pulled all the shit out that everyone's been hoarding, and I haven't done it, but I'm like, well, why do you want this? Or what's that for? What's wrong with the old part? You know what I mean? So I'm in charge of buying the parts and making the parts and delegating and stuff like that. So I'm trying to be fair, but I'm not trying to be a dick about it.
But also you have to favour the guys who are winning, even though the guys who are not winning probably need more of your attention. But you have to favour the guy who's winning, who's creating the buzz for the team.
No, 100%. And obviously, the way I was told, we have Barcia, who's our 450 star, if that makes sense. And I've got the other 2. I've got an extra one right now we can go into later. But it was if there's one of something, it goes to Barcia.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it has to be. It has to be. And, even though the guys who are winning tend to be easy because everything's good, don't fuck with it. Don't mess with it. It's the guys who are struggling, who are trying to find that form, who need the help. You just want to concentrate on the guy who's bringing home the bacon,
So are you going to be like one of those interfering parents that go and snoop through their kids' drawers then? Going around the mechanics,
helicopter parenting,
seeing what they've got in there. Oh, why is he hoarding that? And then pull him up. What are you going to do? Give them the cane? How are you going to deal with that?
Yeah. I've done it from time to time,
because you've done it yourself, so you must be conscious of it.
Don't kid a kidder, they say.
Because if you need one brake hanger, for instance, I've done it before. You need one brake hanger, but you're like, I'll take 2.
Well, you never know when you're going to need a spare, kid.
One of my best because I know in 8 hours I'm going to need it again. But it's it's hard for the people who's checking on those parts, or which is me now. But no, I'm just trying to keep it fair, but not too regimented.
Just take 3 and put an allocation aside for Wobs, will you?
Yeah, sure.
I'll ask on his behalf.
Either poor guy take 3, there's none left.
But that's what it's all about. It's like balancing the whole thing, and you don't want to be unfair to anybody. You want to give everybody a good crack of the whip. It seems like a balancing act, and the more people involved in the team, there seems to be more of a balancing act because people get pissed off with each other. One guy's on the phone to his girlfriend when he should be taking the truck down, or they're leaving a mess, and you're like, it's not my fucking job to tidy up behind you. But it's a tough thing, and it's all happy days until you get to Minnesota and it's fucking snowing, it's coming in sideways, and it ain't quite so funny then.
How have you adapted to the new role then, Ollie? Obviously, because now people look to you. You as a mechanic, you then go to somebody to ask for a part and all that. Have you found it enjoyable in regards of the stress levels compared with being a mechanic? Obviously, still loads of stress, but is it in a different way, more responsibility? Do you feel that sort of more responsibility because you've got to be a team player a bit more?
It's a different stress. It's definitely a different stress. You're not watching your bike around the track going, "Oh, did I do that up tight? Is that good? Is this good or whatever?" It's more of a stress to keep things going. The way I looked at it was, when I was a mechanic, I expected this from my crew chief, so I'm trying to still keep that in mind. So I'm trying to be on top of it. Like, if boys need something, it's already there, or if we're going to go testing, they have a good detailed plan of what we're going to test. So nothing sideswipes them, and it can be as efficient as possible. So like the stress in that, if something breaks, it's my responsibility to report back to Austria or document it or figure out why, or even, I mean, I'm no engineer, I'm just a glorified bike mechanic, so I have to talk to the right people who are the engineers who design the part to try and figure out why.
And so, what was I going to say?
So, why you remember?
Oh, no, I was going to say, do you get involved in any of the politics? Because I'm blessing Barcia. He's got the Bam Bam nickname for a reason. And there's got to be some times where there's almost fisticuffs and the AMA are trying to do this. And I've seen it all going off, kid.
I had to have a meeting with a couple of the AMA officials this past season, yes. Because it's a full twist. Because, like, TK put me in this position as Tyler Keefe, who was the team manager here for a long time. And he was like, "You've gone from having Barcia's back to wanting to fight everyone else with him, but now I'm the one that has to look at it more of a professional way." Like, it's easy to get sucked in with your rider, right? And, like, you get taken out by a guy and you're like, "Oh, F that guy, he took you out." But then now it's like, well, you got to look at the fine. We got to have videos. That's why we film the races, and you got to look at the angles. And it's just, oh, it's a nightmare. You're in the AMA trailer till like 3 a.m. coming up with a solution and fighting your fear. It's like I'm a lawyer or something.
Okay, so if you've got to play that, if you've now got to play that diplomatic role, which you do a bit more, I mean, this may have happened. It might not, or going further ahead, it might happen. So is that a case of you trying to tell Justin to sort of just rein it in a little bit? Would that have to fall on you?
Or I don't think you can you? That's not the way the kid's wired up.
No, I don't think you can. He's matured since he's had his kid, and actually, like, me and him get on real good. We clicked when I was his mechanic too, so I know that he listens to me, and I'm not going to tell him anything that I think stupid. And if he does something wrong, I will tell him that I don't agree with that. He hasn't since I've been in this position. I've had to defend him a couple of times, which is perfectly fine because I've got all my riders' backs. But sometimes it's like, you can't defend them if they do something blatantly bad. You just got to be like, yeah, well, you got to own that one.
Yeah, and it's not just Justin we're talking about.
This year.
Not just Justin. That go obviously, because you highlighted Barcia as because of his reputation gone before him, but you'd have to do the same with any of the team riders, obviously.
No, exactly. And like now, like going back to your question, they're all my problem, if that makes sense. So I can't favor one. I got to give them all the same attention, and I got to fix all their problems. Like yesterday was a relief. We broke in the race bikes, so I've got 2 450 guys riding on Saturday, and I've got Rider Di Francesco too. So
who's the 450 guys?
They all give attention. So after this, I'm going to go to the track and.
Oh, let's backpedal. Who's the 450 guys? I thought you only had one.
2 450 guys. Well, if you read what the internet says, it's true.
I don't read that shit.
Well, hold on.
Whoa.
Let's just put this into context. Hold on. Hold on, Ollie. Hold on. So it's currently, I don't know, about 6 o'clock.
I will say at the moment, it's 6 p.m. Me and Jeff are drinking Stella Artoris, and Ollie is 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So he's drinking coffee. So
on Tuesday, this is Tuesday the 2nd, okay? So we're obviously A1 is about to go down this weekend. So come on, by the time this comes out, it's going to be the 4th. Fourth. Yeah, 4th. So come on.
Give us a scoop, kid.
A Torq Moto exclusive. So, yeah, I mean, everything that you read on the internet is true, and then
I haven't read fuck all, so tell me.
And the plan was just...
Who was it? Go on, kid.
So we have Prado race.
Prado. Forgot about him. He's my guy.
Sorry, yeah, because me and Wobs, actually, I can genuinely say I haven't looked at the internet the entire time over Christmas. So you've got Prado, Barcia.
But I've been looking at cars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, forgot about Prado. He's a nice kid, Prado, isn't he? He's a nice kid.
And then who?
Very nice. Yeah, I've crossed paths with him before. He came over and when he raced in the Nations, he raced out of our semi and stuff like that. And I mean, I don't know if he's going to come here in 25. I don't know.
I hope he doesn't get
it. There. That's way above my pay grade. But we were asked if we can provide him equipment to race the first 3 races. So obviously we obliged, and it's been actually fun watching him learn.
Has he got his mechanic with him, or have you provided him a mechanic?
His mechanic came for a couple of weeks, and then obviously he went back to Rome to get stuff prepared for MXGP. So I took a test mechanic from KTM who actually I worked with at Pro Circuit. I trained him at Pro Circuit, so it was good to have a familiar face come in.
Cool.
And I know Jorge's got on good with him. I think he's pretty happy with the team, and we'll just see how we go this weekend. I mean, it's no mean feat to come straight to America and race a 450 class.
No.
And
well, hopefully you get the Tortelli 2000. What year did Tortelli win the first race? Just came out and won it in the mud. What year was that?
And then Porcel did when he rode Mitch's bike way back then. So, like, it could happen. I mean,
stranger things have happened, kid.
98, something like that, 99?
It would have been 98, 99 when Tortelli came over. Didn't last long, but he definitely won the first one.
I think if Prado stays injury free, like genuinely injury free, regardless of his result in MXGP, I think he's already thinking 25.
Of course he is. Everybody wants to go to America, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
But, it's where the money is, really. So
go through, Ollie, the entire team roster. What's the entire team from top to bottom for 24, starting with the 450 guys? So you got Barcia, Prado.
Prado. P.S. Brown, who's his 3rd year on the team. He'll do the East Coast. And then we signed Ryder Di Francesco from Mitch.
Is RV still working with him?
He is. Ryan's still around. Yeah. So when Ryder came to the team, he works with Will Hahn, who's our trainer, riding coach. But
cool.
RV still comes to the track once a week and keeps him in check.
He's fun time, RV.
Ryan is good.
He's really he's such a different person from when he used to race. He was flat out miserable when he was a racer. He's all right now.
Yeah. Ryan's got his 2 boys now that are racing, so he's still in the moto industry.
He loves it, yeah. He loves it.
So with Ryder, you obviously, you got a bit of history. You'd have known him from obviously working with Mitch from a very young...
We've got to be hoping for a championship there, kid.
Yeah, the kid, like Faulkner, you obviously was your guy for a while there as well. All these kids have come through Team Green with a lot of expectation, so it didn't really work out for Ryder at Kawasaki, but clearly he's got potential to go out there and get the job done. How's he settling into the... I would imagine it's a breath of fresh air for him.
He's actually pretty mature for his age. I was quite impressed with the way he approached the bike setup and his program and things. He's doing everything that you need to do to be a champion. I mean, it's the attention to detail that people don't see. It's not just training and riding your laps. It's the recovery. It's the diet. The industry's just blown out of proportion now. It's we got to have ice baths, and then they got to do cryotherapy, and they've got to do all this stuff off the bike that if it makes their ride day 1% better, then that's more efficient. So it's kind of crazy. They've all got
it's not any fun anymore, is it?
It's not like doing motos back in the day and having a couple beers. And
the closest I got to an ice bath was an iced beer. Basically, that was about. That's the only time. That's the only time I put my hand in a bowl or bucket of ice was to grab a beer out. I wouldn't just sit in it.
I mean, that does count. I think that
does that count?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm an athlete then. Yeah.
So going into this is now Tuesday. What's your plan for this week? You're going to the track today. You've run your race bikes in. They'll be polishing the shit out of them, loading the truck. When you got to go to Anaheim? Friday morning?
I think we're going to shoot down Thursday afternoon and set up because.
How far is that from you? I mean, I know exactly how far it is, but just for
the press conference, the bikes have to be upstairs at 10. We're going to shoot down the track on Thursday, set up Thursday afternoon. Then Friday we can roll in, and you know what it's like. Everyone wants to take pictures of the bikes and catch up. You haven't seen people for a few months, and it's just all that stuff. Then the boys are going to ride some press. I think at 1 o'clock they're going to shake everything down for 20 minutes and stuff, and then we should get out of there pretty soon. But now the Saturday schedule was a lot earlier. I think the main event, the night show, starts at 4 instead of 6:30 or something like that.
Yeah, they've moved it earlier. What is that for the TV rights?
Yeah, it's just it's earlier on the East Coast. Back in the previous years, if the main event started at 9, that's midnight on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So everyone's pretty much gone to bed by then. So it's earlier on the West Coast and the same time on the East Coast.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that makes
TV
sense.
stuff.
So with your role now, then, we said about the differences in the week. What about come race weekend? You know, how does that differ now then? Because you've got a very different job to do on the weekend. So what do you do over those 2 days or whatever it is? You know, how does it start off?
Yeah, my role too is a lot of documentation and reporting back to Austria. Like we're a factory team with everything supplied from Austria. So like it's more, we do sound check, we do noise control, and everything has to be reported, like barometric pressure and temperatures and things like that, just for data pretty much. A lot of it's data. Saturday, I'll make the calls on tire setup or suspension changes, and we talk with the riders. We film the sessions and go over everything. Where we have data on the bike, so it's downloading the data and picking the track apart.
Data.
Just basic stuff like gearing and that kind of stuff. But at the end, everything comes through me, so that's where the added pressure is. You don't want to make a wrong call, but sometimes you got to try something, and maybe you go in the right direction, and maybe you don't.
I'm glad that you're not fully Americanized yet. I'm glad you're saying data.
But the trouble is, when you're there,
well done,
you have to speak with an American accent to get understood.
It's crazy because I've been here 10 years now, and my fiance is American and stuff, and you do pick it up. Unfortunately, I don't have many English people to talk to during the week. Most of them are American, and you do get sucked in.
You do, you can't help it.
It's ironic because one of the guys who work at KTM there from Austria, and he was at the race the other day, and he was speaking with my fiance, and he thought she was English because she's been hanging out with me so much. She would say American sayings in an English saying, and I say English sayings in an American saying. So our household's all backwards.
How is Kim? She good?
Yeah, no, she's sound. Yeah,
and she works for Monster now, doesn't she?
Yeah, she works at Monster. She's a manager at the Ultra brand in marketing. So not the Green Claw, the Silver Claw. So that's kind of pretty cool. She
me and Wobs knew. Look what
I just know she's up in Monster. I know that.
I can just stay at home and I don't have to travel as much, but we're not there yet.
Mate, you'll be having a kid here soon. When are you getting married anyway? When have we got to buy a hat?
I got 3 kids that I have to babysit on a Saturday, so I'm not there yet.
No, fair play to your kid. Fair play. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, fair play. Yeah, I mean it's a big step up. So
to get somebody to achieve as much as you have coming from the UK, I mean, there's not many.
No.
You know, there's like me and Hendo we went over there as mechanics for a few years. You know, Leighton Rice has been there forever. Tom Wallace has been there forever. But, you know.
It's good. I work with Leighton now. You'll have to get him on the show.
Well, Leighton is on our list, yeah.
Yeah, Leighton is on the list.
Leighton is on our list because
I'll see him this afternoon.
Yeah, tell him.
Yeah, line him up.
He's one bit. He's awesome.
Has he mellowed out or not? Or are we going to have to edit him?
Now he's the manager at the engine department in the US, so like...
I know how to fire him up. Get him talking about Welsh rugby. That's what you got to do. Get him talking about Welsh rugby. He'll be all over it.
That's so funny. So my mum and dad came over for Christmas, and I showed them around the shop. And I took my dad into engine department, and Leighton was there, and I was like, "Oh, Dad, this is Leighton. He's from Wales." And the first thing my old man said was stuck it to him about the rugby. And then and then in the engine department, you got a couple of South Africans and then a Kiwi too. So the whole engine shop was just talking about rugby, just Leighton about the results. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, we definitely as much.
I want to see the new shop. That place.
Yeah,
looks
definitely.
That place looks impressive.
You'll get the tour. You'll get a good tour when you come over for sure.
Well, we are planning. We don't know exactly when, but we want to take this across the pond for a week or so, a couple of weeks if we can.
Yeah.
Sometime in the near future. So yeah, definitely visiting there. Seeing all the Brits over there, like Wobs just mentioned, would be cool. And going out.
Well, I'm going to come out in January for probably 4 days. So I'll come and see you guys. And we'll touch base, drink a few beers, kid. Don't want to go crazy, but we'll come over and have a little look, and then we'll get a bit of content, and then we'll set up when we're going to go over and do some podcasts.
So what? I got one question that I wanted to throw in earlier, but we was in the flow of it, so I didn't. So with your current job now, who do you have to answer to? I know you got to report back to Austria. How involved is Troy himself then at this point? You know, does he just kind of sit back and let you guys, or is he kind of hands on more than we realise?
No, he's not so much hands on. in front of the scenes with the race team. Like I might only see him like 3 or 4 times a year, a couple of races. He'll be at Anaheim for sure, like entertaining a lot. Like
Fuck, I hate Anaheim. Anaheim, you get every idiot with a CRF 50 wants a pit pass. God, it's hard work, isn't it? Oh my, that's why I'm not coming to the first one.
They sold out early. Yeah, they sold that place out quite early this year.
Yeah, dude, but I used to
Troy,
wind me
some
up.
races more of like behind the scenes because he's still got the day-to-day running of the Troy Designs products and the
Is he still
t-shirts and
there? I
all
thought
that
he
kind of
sold
stuff
it.
that he does.
Has he not sold it?
What's that?
Has Troy not sold it? I know he still goes there, but
Yeah, but he's still there. He's still there as like it's still his name, and he's still employed with the company. So he's still very much involved.
cool.
Not a bad gig.
He's a good.
He's earned it.
He's a good time, Troy. Him and
Yeah.
No,
The stories.
talking about stories.
from Troy.
Some of the stories that Mitch and Troy come out with. That
couldn't
story
get
about.
away with what-
Did he tell you the story about the grass?
Yeah, the grass.
Oh, that's
yeah,
a funny
I've
story.
Grass a few times though. I worked at Press a long time.
Oh yeah,
so
I've heard that. That was on.
That was really funny.
I think did they say that? I think that was on the Whiskey Throttle.
Oh, was it?
Maybe
I think. Yeah.
Maybe when you come over, you need to get Mitch and Troy on the.
Absolutely.
podcast.
We got to be drinking if that's the case. Them boys would let loose. Some
Well,
of
we've
them,
kind of set our stall out
some of
now
them
with these-
stories are so funny.
with the podcast. You know, drinking. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we started this thing. We thought, wouldn't it be good to? Because we always, when we decided to do this, me and Wob said, well, actually, you do your best conversation in your local boozer, don't you, at the pub when everybody's relaxed. And then you go in. You don't go into a pub with like an idea of like what you're going to talk about, like bullet points, what you're going to talk through in a night, do you? You just have a beer, you start talking, conversation flows. So, if anybody is thinking we're ridiculously unprofessional and we don't prepare questions for
That's
this,
the way it's gonna
that's
be, bollocks to you.
Yeah, that's exactly
No,
how
but
it's going to continue to
You
be.
get the best answers, you know, and it's more raw. You don't want a script. You just
We
want to
have
see where it ends
no
up.
idea what we're going to ask you
No,
today.
exactly. And we're not trying to throw anybody under the bus. We're not trying to catch you out. It is what it is.
In fact, I still had road rage when I walked up the stairs,
oh, fucking wind your neck in.
just trying to get here.
So what's the plan, Ollie? What are you going to do? You're going to be, I mean, on your career like schedule, kid, you're going to be fucking running the show in a minute.
No plans of yet. It's hard in this industry to look too far ahead because you never know what's going to come, if that makes sense. But short term, I just got to keep doing what I'm doing and then see what doors open, you know? Like, it took me a long time to get in this position, so I kind of need to enjoy it and use the experience that I've got to try and be successful. Like, now it's not personally be successful, it's like to make the team successful. You know, I need all the riders to do good. We need to pick the bike apart, you know? Like, we're in a good spot right now, but you've always got that little nervousness feeling that, like, oh, I could go all could go wrong on Saturday, and then we're back to the drawing board Monday morning, which the process that we went this winter with testing, I don't see that happening, but it could always happen.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to yourself, Ollie.
You sound professional.
Listen, there
you do
talks a
sound
man.
like a professional.
There talks of a man that's travelled and experienced, eh?
So I've got one more question.
Creeps up on you, doesn't it, growing
Oh,
old?
fuck.
It creeps up on you growing old, doesn't it? Sorry, Wobbs has just dropped his...
So I've got one more
It's
question
bottle
for you.
opener.
I've got one more question for you, kid. What's your advice if you got a kid who was in your position 10 years ago, whenever it was, they want to go to America, they want to put the fancy pit shirt on and swagger around the pits. What's your advice? What would you tell them to do? Because, I mean, I've got to say, there's more opportunities now than there ever was. Because they've got practice mechanics,
Yeah,
you've got
but
in-house guys.
like,
where it used to be one rider, one mechanic, and that was you done.
Yeah, I would say just be humble and don't be cocky because you can get sucked into the BS here. Quite easy now with the social media and stuff and like the egos. There's a lot of egos I've seen come through the industry too, and you just got to be grounded, I think. And that's something that I've learned. And like, hey, I've been there, like PC mechanics always had a reputation of being cocky. And someone asked one of the mechanics that from when I was back there, they were like, hey, why is it the pro circuit mechanics are always cocky? And his answer was, it's because we are. And like, it was funny at the time, but like, yeah, you just gotta be grounded, I think. And it's difficult. Like one year, I think we won like 5 races in a row, and it's hard to not let that go to your head.
It is. It's hard to be humble when you know you're doing a good job and you know you've got good stuff. You can't run yourself down because that's not what it's about. But you don't want to go out there and say we're better than you because that don't work either. You know, it's a fine line.
Not only are you a great mechanic, you're a better actor than what I thought, because you're one of the most cocky, arrogant people I've ever met in my life. No, that is a joke. He's not.
That's fine. I mean, that's because I've had coffee this morning, not beers, but it might get a little loose if we do this one evening on my time. But no, it's good. It's like, I wouldn't have done it any other way, that's for sure. Like, my path here is put me in this position, and like, you just got to put it down to experience.
And like you say, 40 years old next year, kid. How much longer can you see yourself doing it for? You got your eyes on the price of an in-house job, or
job's easy now?
I like JB. I like Barcia too, and he's sticking around for a couple more years, so I for sure have to see him out and then see what opportunities arise.
In-house, go to 3 or 4 races a year. Yeah, that sounds lovely.
Like, I have a good relationship with the guys in Austria. Like, we'll see what grows over the next couple of years. But just short term is just to be not successful, make the team successful. You know, if all the guys do well, then it shows good reflection on what we've done this winter.
I know at this point, you've already said, you don't want to look too far ahead. You've already said that, sort of 1 year at a time. But do you now see America as home? Can you ever see you coming back? To, you know, even
he is proper. Got his feet under the table now. He's got the proper suburban life. I know the house.
Green carded up. You've got your green card.
He's in there, green carded right up. Got the wife. Well, nearly. He's proper.
I mean, it's hard not.
But Somerset has so much to offer.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. We could go to Western-super-Mare or Newport. You know, so like, it's either Long Beach or
Western.
Yeah. Well, you can go to.
But no, for now, I just see where it goes. You know, like, I own a home here and engaged and all that stuff. Like, I have no plans to come back in the short term, only because, I mean, this industry
it's better.
in America is so big. And
Yeah.
Well, you've got such an intense season. I'm not trying to fill in the gaps, but it is intense. I mean, how often do you get to come home, do you think? When did you last come home?
I haven't been home for 4 years. But that was before COVID. But now we do 31 races in probably 37 weeks. So you get to the end of September and you're smoked.
You ain't traveling anyway.
This year it was like, oh, we can do Barcia, and then you have to get ready for that. And then it's like trying to play catch up with testing because we got new components for this coming season. So it's like there was no off season. I took a week off. I went to Mexico with like Dino and stuff and the boys, and that was it. It was straight back in full swing. So
it's intense.
There wasn't really an off season. It was no break. It was one season was over. You drew a line under it, and we looked towards the next season and just went full steam ahead.
I was going to say, Ollie, we'll have to come to you then. There's more of an excuse for us to come out and see you.
So I'm coming out. Coming out for A2. I'll bring you some Jaffa cakes and some HP sauce, kid.
Perfect. Some HP sauce. Yeah, I need the HP sauce.
They bring you some Liam Perrins because it's only just up the road. Ollie, as always, we obviously we've all known each other a long time. It's always good to catch up. I really appreciate you giving up your time because especially with us running a bit late. Apologies for that. You can blame the British weather for that.
And like this week for you is a big week, and to take an hour or two out of it, it's a big ask. I understand. Thank you.
Yeah. Good luck with it all, mate. We'll be watching.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
We'll be cheering you on, kid.
And if there's any opportunity while you're on TV, because you probably will be at some point, just grab a pit board and write Torq Moto on it and put it up in front of the TV for us, will you?
I'll try, but I don't write the pit boards anymore.
It was worth a try.
But you need to send some T-shirts or something.
Well, I'll bring some with me, kid. I'll bring some merch with me. We get some stickers stuck on places we shouldn't have them.
Yeah.
All right, kid. Thanks
good stuff. Go and do your work now. You're actually paid to do.
I will.
Nice
Cheers,
one.
mate.
Cheers, Ollie.
Cheers, Ollie. Thanks for your time.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers. Yeah, so there you go. Great insight from Ollie, what it's all about at the very sharp,
intense week this week
end.
for them. My God.
Yeah, it's going to be...
You don't know your ass from your elbow, in fairness. You were running round.
Yeah.
It's on top.
Yeah. It's going to be good to see how it all pans out. Obviously, most of us will be watching A1. So we look forward to that. And again, another great conversation with Ollie there and what it's like to be a mechanic. And we're going to do more of this, as we said. We're not just riders, Wobs, is it? We want mechanics. We want industry people.
Yeah, some of the younger riders, they've not got too much experience yet, and they haven't got much to say. So we want industry guys. I know the last two have been heavy mechanic stuff because that's who I know.
Yeah.
But, we will get some. We're going to do Birmingham Marina Cross. We've got a lot of cool guys in there.
Yeah.
We're going to do that. We've got a lot coming up. There's so much. We need to get Thorpe in.
Well, there's loads of people now coming out of the woodwork as well, asking to
They
come
want
on.
to come on.
So
They
that's
want to
cool.
come on. Yeah, I had Flock on yesterday. He wants to come in.
Yeah, and I've
We've
been
got some good stories.
Yeah, he will have, absolutely. I've been messaging a few of the younger generation of riders, current riders as well, that are out there trying to tread their path in GP motocross and
Yeah,
EMX.
no, it'd be nice to see him.
So we keep this thing,
Conrad's girlfriend lives about 3 miles from here.
we keep it rolling.
Fiance, maybe that is now.
And we've got a lot to do, as we said. So we really
keep
look
on
forward to it.
watching. That'd be great.
Yeah, and keep on liking and subscribing. Remember, if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple, thanks very much for doing that. Continue to keep liking. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep this thing rolling. Right now, we're going to carry
next. I ain't got a clue.
Oh, well, we can't reveal that right now, mainly because we don't know. But we will announce that soon enough. We're working on it. And right now, all I care about is having a second one of these, Wobs. So let's get that done. I noticed you came through yours straight away, but you know.
Well, I live here, don't I?
Yeah, you live here, so you're all right. Again, everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again shortly for another Torq Moto podcast
See you next time.
with me, Jeffro, and Wobbles. We'll speak to you soon.
See you later.
Cheers.